Hello and welcome back to the Movie Attic. I'm Mike, and as I've said 3 million times, this is the attic where I discuss and review movies, DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks for all the nice people out there in YouTube land. Today's big movie, or if you saw the thumbnail, obviously you probably saw the thumbnail, and ventured your guess on which movie I was going to review today. Of course, if you're somebody that watches the channel regularly, I'm sorry, but I already reviewed this movie on the channel. I have not reviewed Asteroid City, but at the top of few eagle-eyed spectators, at the top of this movie in the thumbnail was our ticket to the Phoenician Scheme, which is the movie I'm going to review today. One of those few movies that I review that is actually in theaters, still in theaters. The other one being, I think, the Minecraft movie. So, obviously, I don't need these glasses because I don't have a sheet of paper, because there's no stats for me to read off. I mean, I could read off stats, but as you probably know, I've said before, I only wear the glasses when I'm not reading stuff to look smarter. But as you can tell, I don't look any smarter with or without the glasses. So, anyway, I do have some stats. The movie's an hour and 45 minutes long. It's PG-13. Obviously, it's in color. And I don't know what the aspect ratio is, but I don't think that's of any consequence in this review. But like I said, Friday night, me and my wife went in the theater and saw this movie. We're Wes Anderson fans. We really liked the Grand Budapest Hotel. We really liked the French Dispatch, and we really liked Asteroid City. Which, it seems to me that the Wes Anderson fans, and I'm just generally speaking, not, this doesn't apply to everybody, but it seems like everybody either loves his early stuff and doesn't like his newer stuff, or vice versa, they like his newer stuff but don't care for his older stuff. I don't know where I fall. I know where I fell previously. I liked his newer stuff because, as you can probably guess, with most of the things I do, I was late to the party. My first exposure to Wes Anderson was the Grand Budapest Hotel, which me and my wife saw in theaters. And that was my first Wes Anderson movie-going experience. We really liked that movie. So obviously, if you know how I am, after seeing that in the theater, I went and bought a bunch of his older movies. I believe they were Moonrise Kingdom, The Darjeeling Limited, and The Life Aquatic. And needless to say, I didn't care for those movies. But if you've seen the review of The Life Aquatic, which I just did a couple of episodes ago, I rewatched the movie, and lo and behold, I did like it. I forget what the score was I gave it, but it's like, I think I need to rewatch all these older movies. And there's some older movies I haven't seen, like Bottle Rocket and Rushmore, and I know people really like some of that stuff. So I do have them. So I plan on rewatching all of Wes Anderson's older movies because I think it was just, I don't know, they weren't like the Grand Budapest Hotel, which I think universally most people did like. The ones they didn't like, and like I said, I'm just generally speaking, was the French Dispatch in Asteroid City. Why they didn't like him, that's not really for me to say. All art and all this stuff is all subjective, so if you don't like a movie, that's perfectly fine. I mean, I don't like every movie that comes out, although most of the movies I'm reviewing on this channel are going to be ones I like, because I'm not a very negative person, so for me to do a negative review wouldn't really, serve any purpose for me personally. So there was a lot of elements, when I rewatched the Life Aquatic, I saw elements in there that were in some of his newer movies. And who knows if, when you watch a movie, who knows if you're in the mood to see that movie too. So a rewatch is always recommended. At least I like to. Most of the movies I review on here, I watch multiple times the week before I do the review. So, anyway, I knew you didn't come here for all that blather. So, like I said, we liked the movie. In fact, we loved the Phoenician Scheme. The main character in the movie was also in the French Dispatch. In one of those little segments, there was like 4 or 5 segments in that movie. So we were glad because we liked that character, or that guy, in the French Dispatch, and we were thrilled that he got his, so to speak, own movie where he was the main star. And we thought he was phenomenal. If you've seen the trailers, obviously don't go by anything I say. Do research, and if you're one of these people that like the early stuff and haven't liked his last few movies, of course be a little leery going to the theater to see this. We like the main character. Of course, there's a pile of people in the movie, like in all of his movies, and there's some of the regulars, like Willem Dafoe, Bill Murray, and then Bryan Cranston and Tom Hanks were in it, and they were both in Asteroid City. Scarlett Johansson's in it, and a few other people. But anyway, the main part, or the focus of the movie, is you have this, I guess he's a kind of a scrupulous business mogul who might be on the shady side. The movie starts out with him in a plane crash. Apparently he's been in 6 plane crashes. And so he's assuming at one point one of these, and they're all attempts on his life. So he's assuming that one of these attempts eventually is going to do him in. So he calls in his daughter, which is a nun. I guess he has all these other children too, some adopted, some not, and they're all boys. And they seem all a lot younger than the nun, who's the daughter. And there's even a question where, and I hope I'm not spoiling anything, of course, there's a question whether this is actually his biological daughter. Anyway, she's a nun, and apparently she's also not in the movie, but the real person is Kate Winslet's daughter. So she plays this, even though she's a nun, she's as outrageous as all these characters usually are in the Wes Anderson movies. If you watch all these, the one thing I love about Wes Anderson movies is he tells these stories that are just almost outrageous, but they're done so seriously. It's a very dry humor. Anyway, this nun, she smokes a pipe, and she wields a knife, and of course that's off the wall humor that he's kind of known for, I guess. And then he visits these these people are trying to do him in as a businessman. So he's going to all these people that he's dealt with in the past, and it's almost segmented like the French Dispatch. First he meets this guy, then he meets these guys, then he meets Scarlett Johansson's character, and I forget what the name of the one guy is, but he was in Asteroid City and the French Dispatch as well, and he's always good at the narration part of, some of his movies are just like narration, just dialogue, I guess you could say. So, on top of all that, him trying to get her to be, in charge of the business after he's gone, each time he has an attempt on his life, it flashes back to like a scene, like almost like a heaven and heck type thing where he's being judged in the afterlife, and then he snaps to it, when he comes back. So apparently, to me, it seemed like that meant he wasn't ready to go. Not necessarily he wasn't ready to go, but they weren't ready to take him yet. And that's, I don't know if it happens each time he meets up with these people that he's his business associates, but there's probably 4 or 5 flashbacks to this whole judgment thing. We were of course, in the theaters now is Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible and some other movies, who of course are demanding the big screens, the high quality screens and all that. So we didn't get a premiere screen, it was like almost an afterthought type of thing. We were in, and I don't know how many people were in there, but there was more than my wife thought would be there, and probably less than I thought would be there. And it was a great crowd. In fact, my wife had commented that it was so nice that she didn't feel out of place laughing out loud because other people were laughing out loud. It was, like I said, if you've watched these Wes Anderson movies, the humor in it's very dry and cool, and some of it's laugh out loud stuff. I laughed out loud a couple times during this movie. For some reason, this main character is always, with everybody he's running into, these business associates, he's always trying to hand out free hand grenades. So you probably get an idea how that, could be funny. So, like I said, we had a great time at the movies. We're planning on watching this in the theater again. Hopefully it won't leave too soon and does well enough over the weekend. So if I was to rate this movie, I would probably give it 9.5 rolls of pink insulation out of 10. Like I said, we loved it. I'm preferential to his newer movies. I think one of the newer movies that we didn't go to see in the theaters was Isle of Dogs, which I like that movie as well. And there's probably people that don't like the animated. He did, the Fantastic Mr. Fox as well. So wherever you fall on the spectrum of Wes Anderson. Oh, and of course too, Criterion's coming out with that big, I think it's a 10 movie box set of Wes Anderson in 4K. Pretty pricey, but I might end up getting that. So I guess I got nothing to point to. So if you've gone to the theater and seen this new Wes Anderson movie, or you like Wes Anderson in general, or what's your favorite Wes Anderson movie, leave a comment down in the comments section. I'd love to discuss it. Like I said, we loved the movie. In fact, my wife said she thought it was one of his best movies ever. Obviously, that's not going to be everybody's opinion, and I'm sure there's people that aren't going to like this movie, and that's perfectly fine. You can't like everything. Um, but yeah, it seems like everybody either falls into one of two categories. Either they really like his early stuff, hate his later stuff, or vice versa. So, until the next time I'm in the attic with a completely different movie, probably one that I'll be able to actually show a physical copy of. I guess I could show the physical copy of the ticket stub. Thanks so much for watching, and till next time. Bye.